Okay, folks, Kamala Harris is here to talk to you all about immigration. Let me introduce Kamala Harris.
So, okay, like right now, for example, the Haitians need to come to America. But some people are all, what about the strain on our resources? That it's like when I had this garden party for my father's birthday, right? I said RSVP because it was a sit-down dinner. But people came that did not RSVP. So I was totally vegan. I had to haul ass to the kitchen, redistribute the food, squish in extra place settings. But by the end of the day, it was the more the merrier. And so if the government could just get to the kitchen, rearrange some things, we could certainly party with the Haitians. And in conclusion, may I please remind you that it does not say RSVP on the Statue of Liberty. Thank you very much.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Happy Saturday. Shout out to everybody watching. If you're catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section. If you're catching this on the live, shout out to everybody in the live chat. What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. So Kamala Harris hosted a rally, and it was a more or less, can I say, flop. They promoted this rally as a Beyonce concert. Meanwhile, simultaneously, Donald Trump was on Joe Rogan, which had astronomical numbers, which we'll get into here in this video. So first off, I want to drop into what MSNBC said about the Kamala Harris rally. They said, oh, okay, this is going to be a Beyonce concert. Everybody's going to have fun. Check this out.
We have some big news to share for the Harris campaign, and the Beehive, none other than Beyonce, will appear with Vice President Harris tomorrow in Texas, we're learning, and NBC's Aaron Gilchrist is covering the Harris campaign today from Georgia, where she's set to appear with Bruce Springsteen. Aaron, the boss today, Queen Bee tomorrow. What more do we know?
This is news that a lot of people have been waiting to hear, whether or how Beyonce might show her support for Vice President Harris. And we have learned from three sources our team has that Beyonce will appear with Vice President Harris tomorrow in Houston, Texas. And the source says that Beyonce will perform during that appearance in Texas, obviously where she's from.
So all throughout leftist bias media, they were saying Beyonce's gonna come, and she's gonna perform. She's gonna do Single Ladies and sing Freedom and all this other crap. But guess what? She didn't. She didn't. But before we get into what Beyonce had to say, again, shout out to everybody dropping in the chat. Really appreciate you guys. Shout out to all the mods in the house on this happy Saturday. I want to jump into this real quick video. So there was a medical emergency at the Kamala Harris rally while doctors were on stage. Look at this.
Necessarily becoming ill and dying. Nationwide, I think someone needs some medical assistance over here.
They're just standing there. They look like robots. I think somebody needs some medical assistance over there. And everybody just looks, dude, they're doctors. Help them out. But they went on stage before Beyonce did. Now, mind you, this rally was massive because they were promoting it as a free Beyonce concert. Of course, everybody's going to show up. Free Beyonce concert? Sure. Not me, but maybe some folks like the Beyoncés. I don't know. I don't particularly like Beyonce, but anyways. So right before Beyonce went on, her mom went on. And this is indicative to Democrats in general, right? Listen to what Kamala Harris's mom, what happened to her while she was on stage.
Been empowering for me. You know, the teleprompter, I'm having a hard time seeing it, guys. I'm just being real here. So it's been powerful to encourage young.
The teleprompter, you know, I can't go off the cuff. Beyonce's mom's kind of looking like Nancy Pelosi a little bit, by the way. I don't know what's going on with her face, but look at this.
Been empowering for me. You know, the teleprompter, I'm having a hard time seeing it, guys. I'm just being real here.
What? It is very indicative. How many of you guys think it's indicative? It is so fake. It is fake. It is absolutely fake. It's crazy. How many of you guys? Yes, bad cheek implants. So reportedly, Beyonce was paid. You guys wouldn't guess how much Beyonce was paid for this appearance. Drop it in the chat. How much do you think Beyonce was paid for this appearance, ployed as a performance for the Kamala Harris rally? $10 million for this.
H-Town. We are so happy to be standing here on this stage as proud country Texas women, supporting and celebrating the one and only Vice President Kamala Harris. A woman who's been pushing for what this country really needs right now: unity. It's impossible not to feel the energy in this room, the positivity, the community, the humanity. We are at the precipice of an incredible shift, the brink of history. I'm not here as a celebrity. I'm not here as a politician. I'm here as a mother. A mother who cares deeply about the world my children and all of our children live in. A world where we have the freedom to control our bodies. A world where we're not divided. Our past, our present, our future merge to meet us here. Imagine our daughters growing up seeing what's possible with no ceilings, no limitations. Imagine our grandmothers. Imagine what they feel right now. Those who have lived to see this historic day. Even those who are no longer physically with us. Imagine all of their sacrifice. The sacrifices made so we can witness the strength of a woman standing in her power, reimagining what leadership is. For all the men and women in this room and watching around the country, we need you.
So she goes on and on and on for another 2 more minutes, which I'm not going to bear you guys to death because, again, listening to this garbage is cruel and unusual punishment. I watched it. You don't need to watch it. It is straight garbage. Garbage. Like Candace Owens says, apparently you get the call, right? You get the call. And there's some slight affiliation with Beyonce, Jay-Z, and the one, the only Sean Diddy Combs. So he said, Beyonce, we need you We need you to come out here. She looked miserable on stage. She looked miserable. They said, dance for me, little puppet. Dance, dance. Shortly after that, the crowd started leaving. They started leaving the Kamala Harris rally because Beyonce introduces Kamala Harris. Just like, here's Kamala Harris. Now, what happens here is interesting because she has zero crowd control. And this is what happens. It seems like she has, as she's running through this campaign, she gets more one-liners and she uses them over and over again. Oh, you got to let them know about the small rally down the street. Whatever. It's loser. Anyways. Just a straight boo fest. Yuck. Yuck. And she can't control the crowd. They're leaving. They're probably booing because you said Beyonce was going to perform. And Beyonce didn't perform. She did a 4-minute speech for $10 million. That's who you got? Even the leftist biased media is admitting defeat here, guys. It is crazy. They're comparing this, because a couple rallies ago for Kamala Harris, they had brought up Bruce Springsteen and Samuel L. Jackson and Obama. It's very reminiscent to when Hillary ran.
Along with Samuel L. Jackson, Tyler Perry, Spike Lee, all headlining for Kamala Harris in Metro Atlanta on Thursday. Also appearing together with Harris on the same stage for the first time, Barack Obama. It was basically a victory rally that was held before all the votes were cast. And we all know how it turned out. And now, once again, the same cultural clash, the split screen, is on pretty sharp display.
I'm going to show you guys a split screen that's going to be quite visually interesting because as this rally was going on, Joe Rogan and Donald Trump were having a conversation on the Joe Rogan podcast. And these are the numbers here. Now, these are the numbers that I pulled earlier this morning. But as you can see on the right there, this actually, the Joe Rogan podcast video is plus 10 million views. I'm not 100% sure, but because I'm not really interested where the CNN rally numbers are at. But these launched at the same time. The Joe Rogan podcast has over 10 million views. It is insane. Absolutely insane. Donald Trump was slightly delayed showing up to his rally, but individuals waited for him in the cold. And he showed up not in dark MAGA, in black and gold MAGA. This guy is coming out to the Undertaker's music. It is like, if you're not familiar with wrestling or WWE, it is like funeral home music. And this guy showed up in black and gold MAGA.
I got interviewed by actually a great guy. I didn't know him too well, but I got to know him because it was the longest interview I've ever done in my life. Joe Rogan, a good guy. And it's, it's quite something. And we had some other things really important. And I said, we're going to get this stuff done. And my people came to me, sir, we could cancel our evening event. I'm sure the people wouldn't mind. I said, are you crazy? I'm not canceling. There's no way. I'm not canceling. There's no way. We never even. So I apologize, but it's all about winning. We got to win. And we did some things today that will help us win. I think we did a lot of taping, a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of everything.
How's the audio, guys? Audio solid? Rob says the audio is good. Okay. Yeah. So Donna asked about, so The Undertaker, it's his Undertaker, he's a professional wrestler, and he comes out in this like very daunting, like dun, dun. And this is how Donald Trump showed up. I can't play it because there's a copyright, but he absolutely did crush it, Jenny. He did crush it. This hat, this swag that Donald Trump's wearing right here is fantastic. This new black and gold look with the gold tie. This guy, I don't know when, I don't know how these people are saying that Donald Trump doesn't have energy and he doesn't have the mental faculties to work this campaign, because this guy did a rally, then he went on Joe Rogan for 3 hours, then he did another rally. In the meantime, he was traveling. It was crazy. It was nuts. He's absolutely sharp. That's what Lex No Luther. I love that. That's a cool username. Jeffrey says, audio's good. Audio's good. Cool. Cool. Awesome. Now, I'm going to share this. This was a pretty, Joe Rogan posted this on X.
Hello, world.
Hello, world.
We just wrapped up a great podcast.
We had a good time. I think you'll find it very interesting and enjoy it.
It was a fantastic podcast. If you haven't seen it, it is freaking awesome. It's almost 3 hours. I'm going to share a little clip of this. I have a couple clips and a couple highlights from the podcast. Don't want to get copyrighted, but here we go.
So I always got more publicity than other people, and it wasn't like I was trying. In fact, I don't know exactly why. Maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, I could definitely tell you. You said a lot of wild shit.
Maybe.
Maybe you said a lot of wild shit, and then CNN, in all their brilliance, by highlighting your wild shit, made you much more popular.
Yeah.
And they boosted you in the polls because people were tired of someone talking in this bullshit pre-prepared politician lingo. And even if they didn't agree with you, they at least knew whoever that guy is, that's him. That's really him.
That's what I love about Trump. He's not fake. He's not Fugazi. You see it from the Democratic Party a lot. Hillary, we saw it. We see it from Obama. We see it now with Kamala Harris. Joe Biden doesn't really know what's going on, so that's whatever. But we see this fake. I don't even know how many accents Kamala Harris is up to right now. I think she's at 7 or 8. But Trump is real.
When you see certain people talk, certain people in the public eye, you don't know who they are. You have no idea who they are. It's very difficult to know. You see them in conversations. They have these pre-planned answers. They say everything. It's very rehearsed. You never get to the meat of it. One of the beautiful things about you is that you freeball. Like, you get out and you do these huge events, and you're just talking, and you're making. We've highlighted you on the show many times when you did this Biden impression where he's walking around, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's funny. It's stand up. It's funny stuff. But it's like you and you were making fun of Elon one time. You were doing an Elon impression. It's great. You have like comedic instincts. Like when you said to Hillary, you'd be in jail. Like it's great timing.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of stuff was unheard of as a politician. Like no one had done that. And
I agree with that. I got to pause this every now and then because of copyright, but hopefully you guys bear with me. But yeah, when Donald Trump started doing this during his first campaign, it was unheard of.
You know, it's funny. You need at least the attitude of a comedian when you're doing this business. This is a very dangerous business. First of all, it's a very tough business. When
it's the most dangerous business.
It's the most, well, for a job.
Yes. I mean, other than going to war and being a firefighter or being a cop, it's the most dangerous business.
It's the most dangerous. For being president is the most dangerous.
Especially you. I mean, you haven't even got to the election. There's been 2 assassination attempts, and they've brushed those out of the news like it was nothing.
Yeah, they'd rather not.
How crazy is that, by the way? You know, the 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life. First one from a would-be assassin, and then the other one while he was golfing. You know, I'm gonna post a little blame game here. It's partially because of the rhetoric that's coming from left, but it's insane. And they don't even talk about it. They don't even talk about the assassination attempt. What's going on with I'm not even gonna say his name on this because I don't want to give him credibility, but that first assassination attempt, what is going on with that? Where's all the information from that?
Not talk about him.
Imagine if there was assassination attempts on Biden, how hard people would be attacking the right, how they would be trying to get guns taken away from people. They would try to ramp up gun laws. They would try to figure out some way to blame you. If there was attacks if Biden got shot in the ear, we would have never heard the end of it.
After that, you know, you guys can watch the full Joe Rogan podcast, but he shows Joe Rogan the ear. They don't zoom in or anything like that, but he did. He said that he had a scar, and they were talking about how the ear bleeds heavily, so on and so forth. This was an interesting clip regarding the polls. How many of you guys in the chat are for the polls? Do you think that the polls are worth it? Do they make sense? Donald Trump has openly said that the polls don't make sense, you know, in regards of the costs, and he kind of exposes that here in this clip here.
Like the whole poll thing is very bizarre for most people because most people don't answer polls. So they read the polls. Were
you ever called
I've never been polled.
If I did, I'd hang up. I was never called by a pollster.
If I did, I wouldn't answer. I'm busy.
You know how polls are done? I'm going to get myself in trouble. But so I really don't believe too much in them. So,
well, 2016 taught a lot of people about the ineffective.
Well, they were very ineffective because I thought I was doing well. I'd go to a place and I'd have 30, 40,000 people. Hillary would go, they have 500 people, and they tell me I'm going to lose. I said, why am I going to lose? I had 40,000 people. She had 200 people. But, you know, I have a theory. These pollsters, they charge you a lot of money, too. You know, they charge you $500,000 to do some stupid poll, and they interview like 251 people. I don't think they interview them in many cases. I don't want to get myself in too much trouble.
You think it's bullshit?
I think they sit there, they make a deal, they get $500,000, and they say, Trump's leading 51-49. They announce it, and everybody says, oh. Do you understand? I think in a lot, look, I'm a very common sense person. I think that they probably don't always poll. Some of them probably never poll.
I think you're right.
What's the difference between 49-51 and 47.5?
Well, it's also a tiny percentage of the population. I don't think it's representative of the overall population. I just don't think
I don't know of one person in my whole life that ever got called by a pollster.
Exactly.
I've been getting a lot of texts. I don't answer them, though, from the pollsters. There was one that said something. They asked me a question about Kamala Harris, and I asked how. No reply. No reply. Nothing. So we remember when Kamala Harris was asked this question about if she would do anything differently at the CNN interview. And I'm going to show some stark differences. We already know this because you're watching this channel, but some stark differences from the way that Kamala Harris answers this question.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes, and they range from, you know, if you've ever parented a child, you know you make lots of mistakes too. In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
That is the most ridiculous answer I have ever heard. I've said this before. It is like when you interview for when I interviewed for my first job, I didn't have any experience. They asked me, how will I resolve a particular scenario or situation? And you don't really I didn't really give a clear answer. I said, hey, or what's one fault or what's one, negative attribute of yours? Well, I work too hard, or I'm too nice, or whatever it is. And it's not really stating a negative. It's just kind of complimenting yourself and just making up crap. But here's the stark difference. Joe Rogan asked him the same question, and here's what he said. Oh, sorry guys. I thought the stream cut out. It was weird. My screen glitched. That was weird. Anyways, here's the stark difference. You saw my face. I was like, oh, not again. It happened last night. It happened last night. We were streaming and it just cut off. Sorry about that. I was like, oh no.
The biggest mistake I made was I picked some people. I picked some great people, but you don't think about that. I picked some people that I shouldn't have picked. I picked a few people that I shouldn't have picked. And
neocons?
Yeah, neocons, or bad people, or disloyal people, or
people that were just
people
bad,
that were into the
people got bad advice.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're reading about him a little bit today. A guy like Kelly, who was a bully, but a weak.
So, anyways, it looks like Stephanie says need a screen cut out every time. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this portion. I just don't want to get copyrighted. It happened last night. So Jeffrey says the Dems are cutting me off. Is the audio good on this? Let me know. Tap it in the chat.
Weak person, you know more about bullies than anybody probably around, because you deal in a certain sport where the bullies are exposed very quickly.
Yeah.
But he's bad. Bolton was an idiot, but he was great for me because I'd go in with a guy like a John Bolton. John Bolton. A friend of mine called me up. I was picking Bolton. He's a very smart guy. His name is Phil Ruffin. He's a very rich guy from Las Vegas. He's a great card player. He doesn't play cards, but he's a great player.
So Donald Trump goes on to talk about his mistakes of hiring the wrong individuals, where the stark difference is Kamala Harris didn't even answer the question. She didn't even answer the question. We're going to jump into this here. Here's Chris Christie, or Chris Crispy, was on The View the other day. And here is what he had to say about Kamala Harris.
Win? Who's going to win?
Look, 10 days ago, I would have told you that she's going to win.
And now?
And I think she's had a bad 10 days.
Why?
Because I don't think there's advantage and disadvantage to having come in the race as late as she did. The advantage is she didn't have to go through all the primaries and go through all that goes on that wears you down a bit. But the disadvantage is people don't know her. I mean, yes, look.
She's been the vice president for almost 4 years. How could they not know her?
You know the old joke. A woman had two sons.
Yes.
One went to sea, the other became vice president of the United States. Neither were ever heard from again. I mean, the job of the vice president is to stand 3 steps behind the president, out of focus. They didn't know.
Then why did they keep accusing her of not doing anything when she was vice president? What did Mike Pence do, I'd like to know?
Chris Crispy on The View saying Kamala Harris isn't doing so bueno. She's not doing so hot. I don't believe the polls either, Darlene says. Now, this was an awesome clip. So we got Scott Jennings was arguing, or, you know, he's on CNN, and Rachel Maddow was on CNN as well. Rachel Maddow right there. Rachel Maddow and Scott Jennings. And they get in a heated dispute. Not Rachel Maddow, by the way. Mark Cuban.
At this race, and you're watching this as a huge surrogate for hers. You know, you've been out there, and what's interesting about you is you kind of take the arguments against Harris. Some of the ones we've heard from Scott, you know, on the economy and whatnot. She has cut Trump's lead on the economy by a significant amount from where it was when it was Biden and Trump in this race. Is it enough, though? I think is going to be the major question when you look at how voters are seeing this.
Well, she just has to reduce it on the margins. She's better for business. There's 33 million companies in this country. 99% of them are small business. 99% of those are pass through, and 99% of the CEOs and entrepreneurs that run them make $400,000 or less. So effectively, for every company in this country, your taxes are going to be the same or lower. We just have to get that word out, and I think that's why she's closing the delta.
Yeah, I disagree. I think the reason Trump is winning and will win ultimately on the issue of the economy is the comparative. I mean, look at the polling. His job approval retrospectively is far higher than the Biden-Harris job approval today. There's one reason for that, because people feel economic anxiety today that they did not feel under Donald Trump. They didn't feel the inflation under Trump. And they don't really believe that Biden and Harris either have a handle on it at best, or they've made it worse. And I think it's a change election. And honestly, Trump's best argument on the economy is you can't leave the same people in charge. If you're feeling economic anxiety, you got to go back to what you know works. And honestly, he's more popular now than he's ever been. His administration is more popular than it's ever been. Look where he came from when he left office to right now. There's one reason why he's more popular today than he's ever been, because people are comparing it to what they've got now, and they're saying, I want to go back.
And yet it's a dead heat.
I don't want to go back.
Been in the race 13 weeks.
Well, you act as though she just landed here on a spacecraft 13 weeks ago. She's been the vice president for an entire term.
But there's a
she was in the
between...
United States Senate. She did not show up here 13 weeks ago. She has a record as vice president. And I think what's hurting your campaign is that she also has a record when she ran for president. And she said a lot of things that have come back to haunt her.
That's a different world. I mean, I can go back 10 years when Donald Trump said he wanted to tax oil companies out of existence. You can talk about Section 230. You can talk about Bitcoin. You can talk about abortion. There's a long list of things that Donald Trump has flip-flopped on.
But he was the president, and he has a record, and she was the vice president, and she has a record.
Yeah, but what kind of record? But you know that whole comparison isn't legit, because the vice president doesn't do anything. What did Mike Pence do?
Well, I disagree. I actually think she has been the most consequential vice president when you consider the responsibilities that she was given, when you consider that Joe Biden has said she was there every step of the way. And finally,
you know it.
She cast more tie-breaking votes than any other vice president. She cast
that's because
the votes.
The Senate, because of the nature of the Senate, had nothing to do with her being special. You know, that's just the job.
She cast the most consequential economic votes of any vice president in our history.
But what we have to talk about is what her plan is for now.
Rachel Maddow's freaking out. She's freaking out. Yeah, I think Donna said Mark Cuban is suffering from EDS and TDS, Trump derangement syndrome and Elon derangement syndrome.
Now, right? Look at healthcare.
Great question.
Her plan for healthcare. She's talked about going after the pharmacy middlemen, in particular the PBMs who set the prices for medications. She's talked about adding transparency. That alone, I know from my experiences, will cut the cost of medications and then eventually healthcare for every household by 20 to 30%.
I agree with you on PBMs, by the way. One. Two, I will say when she had her town hall this week, she got asked a simple question by a voter. What's the first bill you would pass? And had absolutely no answer for it. It wasn't an economic bill. It wasn't immigration. It wasn't healthcare. It was, I don't really know.
But let's go back to
what kind of confidence does that give you that she's ready to lead?
Yeah, because she puts together a team. She's a team leader, as opposed to Donald
Trump. We vote for team. We vote for
yes,
presidents.
we do vote
we
for
vote
team.
for presidents.
No, we vote for, if you're smart.
Who's on the ballot?
Who's on the ballot obviously leads the way, but who's on your team makes a big difference. On one hand, you have Donald Trump, where 40 out of 44 of his staff.
Wait for it. Here it is.
Just turned against them. I've never seen that happen to anybody in any circumstances, ever. I've never seen a company like that ever.
Not just turned against him, called him a fascist. I mean,
yeah, I mean, his cabinet just went, you don't belong in government at all.
Scott Jennings is
Now, what does
loading
that
up.
say? Whereas with Kamala Harris, you don't see that. In fact, you see her putting together a good team. One time with her office, she had a bad experience.
I disagree. She's had a 92% turnover.
Yeah, one
rate.
time
She's had a
years
rough
ago.
ride with staff.
Yeah, but you haven't seen that in the last 4 years.
You've seen it her entire career. It happened when she was attorney general. It's happened when she's vice president. I think she actually has a pretty rough track record of leadership when you consider the people who've washed through there.
So
now expand that out to the entire federal government.
Yeah, 90% of people in her cabinet you think will turn on her?
I'm saying that she has not had a good record of staff management
I'm saying what she's doing
small
right.
groups. Now she's managing the whole
Small
federal
groups
government.
are harder. It has somebody who's managed. Small groups are harder
But
because
if
it's
the
more
argument
personal.
is turnover is bad, I mean, Donald Trump is the king of turnover. So
And on
that
top
is a
of-
bad bar.
And on top
for
of
a
that, he's using
comparison,
loyalty as a mechanism to determine who he's going to hire. That's Tony Soprano.
Every president uses loyalty to their agenda to decide.
No,
I
it's
work for
harder.
George W. Bush. You had to be loyal to the president's agenda. I'm sure Joe Biden did the same thing. They're politically
But
elected. It's their prerogative to have loyal people.
It's their prerogative, but that doesn't make it the best people to solve the problems. She's already said.
You think she's going to hire people who disagree with her?
I think I've seen it. I've seen it. She hasn't disagreed with everything I've said to her by a long shot, but she listens. She's open-minded. She's not dogmatic. That's critical. Being dogmatic is the difference between being good as a president.
I think she has displayed this week and throughout October in her interviews an extreme amount of indecisiveness. And in Kentucky, they say the only thing in the middle of the road is yellow lines and dead squirrels. And I'm afraid she's going to find herself one or the other.
Speaking of what
Where's this at? Somebody said that Mark Cuban is just a polished turd. That is hilarious. I wonder what they got on Mark Cuban, or what they offered Mark Cuban on why he would be so adamant or so upset against Donald Trump all of a sudden. I don't know if you guys remember back in 2016, right before Donald Trump ran, he was all about it. He was all about it. Donna says, love Scott Jennings. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they have on Mark Cuban. I am not 100% sure, but they got something on him. Just like they got something on this guy right here. You guys know this guy? Leonardo DiCaprio. He looks a little rough here. I'm going to zoom this in. He looks a little rough. And he formally endorsed Kamala Harris. The photo next to Leonardo reminds me of a Ninja Turtle, is him and the one and only Sean Combs.
Earlier this month, Hurricanes Helene and Milton devastated parts of Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Families lost homes, livelihoods, and loved ones to some of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes ever recorded. These storms have done an estimated $100 billion in damage, and make no mistake, these unnatural disasters.
He looks rough. He looks rough. Everybody's saying, Diddy, Usher, we can name them all. We can name them all. They are all part of this shenanigans that's going on here. Ooh, somebody said Mr. Smith, Will Smith. Deshaun said Will Smith. This is, I personally think, presumably, I don't know, presumably, why she's getting these endorsements. It's not for climate change, bro.
Were caused by climate change. Donald Trump continues to deny the facts. He continues to deny the science. He withdrew the United States from the Paris Climate Accords.
Anyways, this guy, be interesting to see what occurs here with this whole Diddy and D and E list. I'm going to refer to that for purposes here, the D and E list. You know, this was an interesting clip that I had found that kind of made me throw up a little bit in my mouth. It might make you guys throw up a little bit too, but here we go.
Of an obligation
to be a part of that decision.
You might think it's not important. You might think you're not important, but that's not true.
And the only way we can prove that to you is by having lots of famous people.
Lots of famous people.
Lots and lots of famous people.
Just a shit ton of famous people.
But you only get this many famous people together if the issue's
one that truly matters to all of us.
A disease or
ecological crisis or
a racist, abusive coward who could permanently damage the fabric of our society.
Do the math. Do we really want to give nuclear weapons to a man whose signature move is firing?
Firing things?
But we can end this nightmare before it begins.
We can save the day.
For our children.
For our children.
For our children.
For our
communities.
For our communities.
For our communities.
For America.
For America. For America.
All it takes is all of us.
All of us.
All of us.
We cannot pretend both sides are equally unfavorable.
We can't say one vote doesn't matter.
Your vote matters.
Your vote matters. It affects everything.
Not just the presidency, but the Senate.
The House.
Your local officials.
Immigration. Student debt. Common sense gun laws.
The Supreme Court. See, this isn't just an election, it's a tipping point.
For the country.
For the world.
For your world.
All lame. All this. When I saw this morning, and I saw these actors and celebrities cutting this promo, I originally thought it was a parody, but it's not. And it's gross. It is disgusting. Like, why are these individuals endorsing Kamala Harris? What? Yes, somebody says, Donna says, out of touch. I'm going to pop this on the screen because I don't want to say this, but. It is gross to me. It is, yep, money. That's all that it is. And it's like, you know, we recently had Dave Bautista come out and endorse Kamala Harris. Dave Bautista is a wrestler, also now a celebrity or movie star, whatever you want, part of Hollyweird. And these folks are endorsing these individuals. It is bananas to me. I'm going to jump into some of these comments here. Who cares what anyone says? Yes, correct. 100%. This is a good one right here, Robert. Yeah. Cat, $10 million. $10 million for Beyonce to go on stage for 4 minutes. And they promoted it as a concert. It is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. Milwaukee Zeus says, they're bringing Batista by taking away his muscles. Yeah, that guy, I don't have a photo of him lined up, but oh my gosh, I don't know what happened to him, but it is crazy. This is gross. It's sickening, and they're out of touch. These folks are out of touch. They're out of touch, and I want to know what their stances were when Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris in the first place as VP. What were their stances back then? That would be an interesting find. That would be an interesting find. I saw somebody in the chat say that the Joe Rogan podcast has over 15 million views in less than a day. It is crazy. Well, Kamala Harris got booed after Beyonce concert, and it was a big hoax. It was a big hoax. If you guys are catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section. Also, if you guys aren't part of the Discord group link will be in the description down below. Shout out to all the mods, some of the best mods in the business. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm going to head on out of here. Drop your comments down below. I really appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I will probably, what I'll do is I'll place the link for the description, or you guys can find it. Joe Rogan podcast, great podcast. I advise you to listen to it. Happy Saturday, y'all. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button. Share this, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later on today. We'll chat with you in a bit.